At a bustling railway station in the city, there lived a man who survived by begging. Day after day, he sat on the station platform, holding out his hand to ask for money from passengers on trains that stopped there. His life never changed, except for the few coins he received, just enough to buy a little food to get through each day. One afternoon, as a train was about to depart, he spotted a tall man in a perfectly tailored suit, his shoes polished to a shine. Just by looking, the beggar knew this must be a wealthy man. He thought to himself, if I ask him, I'll surely get a good amount. He quickly approached and held out his hand. Sir, please have mercy on me. Spare me some change. The man stopped, looked straight into his eyes and asked, You always ask from others, but have you ever given anything to anyone? The beggar froze, taken aback. Sir, I'm just a poor beggar. I have nothing to give. I ask because I have nothing in my hands. The man smiled, but his gaze remained firm. If you cannot give, you have no right to receive. I am a businessman, and in business, I believe in the rule of give and take. If you have something to give me, then I will give you something in return. With that, he stepped onto the train and left, leaving the beggar standing still amidst the sound of the train's whistle and the swirling dust. For the rest of that afternoon, the man's words echoed in the beggar's mind. If you cannot give, you cannot receive. Give and take, he began to wonder. Could it be that I don't get much because I've never given anything? But as a beggar, what could I possibly give? 2 days passed, and he still couldn't find an answer. Then, on the third morning, as he sat in the corner of the station platform, he noticed some small flower bushes growing by the fence, blooming brightly under the morning sun. A sudden thought struck him. Why don't I pick these flowers and give them to those who give me money? That very day, he picked a handful of flowers, then boarded the train to beg, as usual. But this time, whenever someone gave him money, he would hand them a flower with a smile. Thank you, here's a small gift for you. The reaction was surprising. Passengers who received the flowers smiled warmly, some even holding the flowers delicately, as if they were precious gifts. The beggar noticed that he received more money that day than usual. From then on, every morning he woke up early to gather the freshest flowers from the wild bushes near the station. He was no longer just someone holding out his hand. He was someone bringing a small moment of joy to others. He also noticed that on days when he ran out of flowers, the amount of money he received dropped again. This only reinforced his belief that it was the act of giving that caused him to receive more. One day, while begging on the train, he suddenly saw the same tall man from before. He immediately walked over. Today, I have something to give you. Please give me some money, and in return, I'll give you these flowers. The man looked at him, smiled brightly, took out his wallet, handed him some money, and accepted the flowers. Wonderful. Now you're a businessman just like me. Those words were like a flash of light in the beggar's heart. As the train left the station, he stood still, looked up at the blue sky, and declared, I'm no longer a beggar. I'm a businessman. I can become rich. People nearby who overheard him thought he was crazy, but he didn't care. A new belief had taken root deep within him. 6 months later, at the same station, 2 well-dressed men in suits were shaking hands. One of them looked closely at the other and asked, Do you recognize me? The other man shook his head. I'm sorry, I don't think we've met. The first man smiled. We've met twice already. The first time, you refused to give me money. The second time, you bought flowers from me. I am that beggar you once met. The other man's eyes widened in surprise. Oh my, it really is you, but you look so different now. What are you doing? With pride in his voice, he replied, Yes, I was once a beggar, but today, I am a successful flower merchant. I'm on my way to another city to sign a new contract. You taught me an important rule. Only when we give can we receive. That rule changed my life. I realized I was never truly a beggar. I was always a businessman. I just hadn't seen myself that way before. People didn't give me money. They paid for the flowers I offered them. I used that money to buy more flowers, expand my sales, and now I own a large flower business. The 2 men smiled, shook hands firmly, and boarded the train together to continue their journeys. The story of the beggar-turned-businessman is a vivid example of the power of mindset and the law of give and receive. In life, we often trap ourselves with negative labels. I can't, I don't have, but when we shift our perspective, when we dare to believe we can bring value to others, opportunities naturally open up. The law of give and receive is not just a business principle, it is a life philosophy. When we offer value, even something as small as a flower or a kind word, we receive something far greater in return. And the greatest lesson is this: Success begins with how we see ourselves. If we see ourselves as small, others will too. But if we believe in our abilities and act with that belief, the whole world will respond in kind. From a penniless beggar to a thriving entrepreneur, all it took was a change in thought and action. This story reminds us, no dream is too big and no situation too hopeless. If we dare to think differently, act boldly, and believe in ourselves,